Who is ready to laugh? Because we got a funny show coming up today, shedding some light on the darkness in a funny way through laughter. So we're going to let some people tune in, let some people come say hi. Bobby just joined us. Let's bring him right in. All right, let's see how this works. What's up, bro?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, fantastic. Living the dream.
I love it. I love it. Where are you joining us from today? Where do you live?
I live in South Florida.
South Florida. I'm in Orlando right now.
Nice. It's not bad. Yeah, I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
Awesome. Awesome. Listen, first of all, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for all the hilarious stuff you do, because everything right now, what I really appreciate about you is that you take all the shit in the world and you really make it like, you just lighten it up. You know, you make it a whole lot funnier, a whole lot better while we're dealing with what we're dealing with. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you for the hilarious work and the important work that you do, because it's not every day where you find somebody that mixes that like darkness with let's put a twist to it and really show people what's up from a different lens. So
yeah, it came out of pure frustration. I'll tell you, it was like I didn't really know what else to do other than laugh at it, because I was like, this is not a good situation.
Yeah, no, it's nuts. Listen, yesterday, so I'm here in Orlando right now with my family, and we went to Disney. I have some little cousins. We went all together. Dude, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. I'm walking. I have a drink in my hand, and I'm drinking, right? No mask, because I'm drinking. That's
Right.
what you do when you drink. You can't drink with a mask on.
Racist. It's racist.
Somebody comes up to me multiple times and they say, you can't drink while walking. You have to be stationary.
Mm-hmm.
So we went from the whole 6 feet thing to now we need a mask no matter how far or close you are from somebody.
Yep.
So now we're like, I can't drink my water walking down the path, but I could sit down and drink. And if I'm sitting down on the side, you still need a mask. It's like, what the hell is going on?
They banned it at Disney because I think people were like manipulating it, like just walking around taking small sips and like eating all day, which is natural. But yeah, it's free. Florida, and this is Florida of all places. That's the thing that's so crazy. It's like if this is supposedly the bastion of freedom over here, and then that's happening. And I mean, at least it's open. Like in California, it wasn't even open until I think it maybe opens tomorrow. Yeah. It's just like this is going to continue. This is going to continue happening for a long time now until the future, unless more people start talking about it and changing the way that it happens, like locally and other things like that. I talk about it all the time.
100%. You know, yesterday my sister watches you a lot also. And
nice.
we both crack up at the things you put out, your impressions with the Pfizer and this. The first time I watched that, somebody sent it to me. I was driving. I'm telling you, I was laughing so hard I almost crashed the car. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. And yesterday when I walked in, you know, it was like you're walking into a really dark reality. You're seeing people, and it's like we used to see in the movies, oh, they're robots, you know, everybody's in a line and they're putting this like gun to your head to check your temperature. Like, and it really triggered the hell out of me and the rest of my family when we walked into a point where it was like, damn, you know, like, what do we do? And then of course we're like, okay, what are we going to do? Let's make the best of it. So we started like moving forward, trying to make the best of it, moving through the day. We got pissed off multiple times throughout the day, but it is what it is. And then my sister brought up your impression again. And it was just hilarious. It was the funniest thing there was.
It's sad because it's like, I think we all were willing to be patient. It's like, I'm not an infectious disease person. I'm not an expert. It's like, I know how to build things on the internet and make funny videos. And that's about it. And it's like, we all were very patient with it. But it's like, when you pay attention to this stuff as much as I do, and as much as a lot of people do, thankfully, it's like, you're like, these people are lying. it's like not only are they lying, but like they're changing what they're saying. They're changing it to fit the whatever they want to push at that moment. Then they admit openly to lying. Then there's like that little asterisk that you don't notice. And it's like anybody that pays attention with any level of depth and with any real investment of time sees this, and you're just like, this is really messed up. And then it's like, as soon as they take this piece, it's like, you think if you follow the rules up to here, that then you can be free. And it's just like, as soon as you get there, they're like, oh, by the way, it's actually going to be this. And then they're going to keep going further. And it's like, it's going to not stop until you get your face scanned to walk into a building, or you can't get in at all. And I mean, this is a really slippery slope, and it's not just this. It's really a representation of so many things and how much that they could convince you about really any and all things. And then also going forward, it's like when you think about like in Miami Beach, which is a place that thrives off of people visiting for spring break. All the money in South Florida is made between February 20th and April 10th. And that spring break crowd, the cruises, all the people that come into town, that makes all the money for all these businesses.
Yep.
Yet it's like a crazy thing happens in this place, and then every bar is closed at 8 o'clock. Every street is shut down. Everybody's on curfew. These curfews don't even make sense. It's like, if they can take one thing, then it's like anytime there's a problem, they're like, curfew. It's like they're your daddy and your mommy. And it's like, if they can do it now, it's only a matter of time till the next crisis or the next issue or the next reason that something happens. It's like, oh, did you know that this happened? Oh, well, everybody's shut down. You can't go outside. Or, oh, 2 weeks off for the climate. Everyone stay in your house. You can't drive your car. You got to save the planet. And it's just like, if they can convince us of one, they can convince us of any. So it's like, I think a lot of us see the moral hazard of just blindly accepting these overlords' decisions now, because it's only going to happen more and more in the future about other things that they're going to be able to scare you more and more about. Like the CDC director, the new CDC director comes out the other day and is like, I'm very scared. I'm so afraid. I'm talking to you as a mother, a wife, a sister. And it's like, this is an emotional pull, not a fact-based argument. No one's debating you. You're the only person that we can agree with. And it's like, please, it's only going to get worse. It's like this fear-mongering. It's just really sad. And I think a lot of us see where this could go. And that's kind of the real threat. Sadly.
Even yesterday, because that was really, I would say, one of the first times where I was around a very big crowd of like that magnitude that was completely manipulated and based off of fear. And one of the things that I really saw was it's not, I'm trying to get the right words. People were always able to be manipulated in this way. That's why they got to that point. That's why we're here right now.
Yeah.
And what I've been kind of realizing over the past year or so is that this is really just like a mirror of where we're at on our level of consciousness, because we wouldn't have gotten here if it wasn't for us saying yes, 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 and okay, 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 right? We play a massive role in saying yes, yes, okay, put up your mask, cover your nose, cover your chin, drink water on the side stationary instead of walking. We're doing that. We're saying,
Right.
So like that in and of itself is it's just like a mirror. It's like a reflection of our own consciousness, just showing us kind of like it's like waking us up from the coma that we were always in. We just didn't necessarily realize it. And in a way there, it's really beautiful that that's happening also, because we actually get to see instead of being asleep to it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, as I'm sure you're very in tune with, it's just like when your body wants to send you a message, it finds the way to send you a message. It doesn't just flat out knock you on your ass. It messages you in one way or the other. And like in a lot of ways, this is a message to people where it's like they've been taking one piece at a time strategically for many years, and now they're doing fistfuls at a time. And luckily, hopefully they're overplaying their hand a little bit, and it's waking more people up. And hopefully that's kind of the yin and yang of life. And hopefully it corrects back the other direction. But it shines a light on a much bigger issue, which is that everybody feels dependent on an external source to satisfy some need or take care of them or protect them or X, Y, and Z. And like what I think is the most important message of all of this stuff is just like the lack of personal responsibility and self-awareness that the vast majority of people have is the reason why all this stuff is easy. It's easy for all this stuff to happen. It's like, oh, like this is bad. I need something else. Instead of me looking internally for my own personal responsibility, I need someone else to satisfy this need, someone else to protect me, someone else to tell me what I have to do, someone else to say, oh, you need to be healthy, here's a shot in your arm. Instead of like, hey, how are you eating? Like, are you exercising every day? Are you getting sunlight? Are you thinking enough about like how to stay positive? I mean, any variety of these things. And those are the things that are not taught to us. And when I think about things like the food pyramid, and how that was taught to us at a young age. It's just like we've been manipulated all the way through, and it's like until we realize that the only person responsible for our own success is us through and through now until forever, we're all screwed. Because unless everybody realizes that like you have to figure it out in here, and it can't be anyone. It can't even be mommy and daddy. It has to be you. You got to research it, you got to know it, you got to learn it, and you got to stay on top of it every day now until forever. It's not like I could go to the gym 5 days a week until I'm healthy, and then I'm good. It's not like that. It's like you need to get a gym membership and have it till you die. You need to go and exercise till you die. You need to figure out how to filter through garbage information and cipher it away from good information for the rest of your life. You need to be able to meet a new person that you maybe trust, maybe that someone else tells you to trust, maybe that's been independently validated for trust, and you have to validate their trust. You have to validate everything forever. And everyone's just like, no, government body, like, please, Fauci, tell me what I need to do. It's like, no, dude, this is a far greater problem that's beyond just this moment. It's everything. It's our whole life. It's so many things. It's
100%. I'm in a complete alignment with you. I really advocate on the fact that we have to stop giving our power away and start taking our power back peacefully, right? You don't need guns. You don't need war. You don't need any of that. You just need to start critically thinking, looking around you, and being okay with the possibility that things may not be what you once thought that they were, and what you were taught that they were. With that, I have two topics I want to bring up to see your stance on it. And
okay.
I think it'll also be fun if anybody has questions, we can make it interactive. Anybody has questions, we'll bring it up and we'll talk about it so everybody can be a part of it as well.
Sure. Two
topics. Number one, let's talk, and I've never spoken about this publicly, but it's enough. We got to talk about it. What's up with like I identify as a dolphin? What's going on? What's going on there? What's up with I identify as like a trilateral isosceles? I don't know why we're canceling Mr. Potato Head and bringing on the devil having sex with a man what's up, man? Where do you stand on that?
I think that, well, let's use that example. I think that in a lot of ways, like I don't like the term conspiracy theory, but person that thinks differently than what's served to them on a platter. So it's like people that think differently, call it a conspiracy, whatever you want. Well, one of my problems that I have, like as it relates to like the Lil Nas X video, is like people have this tendency to act like this is like this grand orchestrated scheme, that there's like these people out of the top that are making all these things happen. What I think is much more likely is that the environment for these things to happen is opened up and supported, but not necessarily directly pulled with each one. It's not like there's some like satanic overlord guy at the very, very top of the pyramid that's like, Lil Nas X, you got to do this. You're under contract. It's almost like he comes up with this idea, or they plant that seed in his head. He wants to do it because he knows it's going to trigger people. He has his own beliefs. They know it's good for sales, and it's like a combination. It's like you're like partially right, like yes, sort of, but like not in the way that you think. It's not like this direct path. And it's like when you think about like the totality of human existence and all people on earth, it's like there's a lot of moving parts here. There's a lot of different things that are happening, and it's like you're taking out like maybe he thinks that's the good idea. They help support it. He thinks it's cool, not necessarily that he's being, or that he like worships some, like maybe, but kind of like not really. At the same time, they know that that's going to trigger you, and they know that that's going to get your eyeballs, and they know that's going to sell more shoes. And then the shoes go from 1,000 to 2,000, and then the video goes from 1 million to 10 million views, and then the sales go to 100 million to 200 million. It's like they understand how to play the game, and it's like I really think that the desire for more money dictates a lot of these things, not necessarily like this like Luciferian like demonic system. And it's like, yes, in a way because they're pushing it, but I don't know that it's a direct line like everyone seems to suggest, like it's all this public one by one. So I think that we're taking on a lot of intermediary connections, or a lot of connections in the middle that just lead and allow that, because they know that's going to trigger you. So they know that you're going to share it. It's like, here's the thing. I haven't watched a Lil Nas X video ever. I haven't listened to a song. I don't care. Like, but now I know this guy's new single. I went to his Instagram. I went to his Facebook. I went to Nike. You know what I mean? I went to the Nike.com. I don't pay attention to sneaker drops. I like sneakers, but I'm not like new sneaker, like, oh, 1,000. I would never know this. And now I know it because they played you. So it's like, they kind of got you. So as bad as it is, you're doing exactly.
Great for business. They're doing great.
You're doing
sold $500,000, $600,000 in shoes like that in a minute.
You're doing exactly what they want. They're playing you in the same way that they play everybody, because they know how to manipulate emotion. So it's like, that's bad. But again, it's like, here we are talking about it. Such is the game, you know? Such is the game. So like, they won on that respect. Is there some guy that's just like, yes, like in a cavern somewhere? Like maybe sort of, but not really. What I would say he's doing is he's like, I'm walking straight to the bank with this. Like it's not even like, is he eating a baby in a dungeon? Maybe, but like, I don't know. I think he's at the bank and he's just laughing about it because he just played all you guys. And that's the thing, is like, so I think that there you could say that it's all connected, and I think that's what like a lot of conspiracy type things is just like, if this then this, if this then this. It's always a direct connection. It couldn't just be, it couldn't be happenstance. And look, I believe in no coincidences, but at the same time, you're talking 7 billion people, hundreds of years. You're talking lots of interconnected things. Like there's a lot of stuff that's like, you can't just say everything. Like in comedy, there's this phenomenon. I forget exactly what it is, but it's something along the lines of like, you hear a joke and you don't even remember hearing it. You don't remember someone telling it. And then you tell a similar joke and you think that you made it up, but reality is you actually heard someone else. So like, you're copying it, but you don't even cognitively realize that you copied it. And there's a specific word for it that escapes me right now. But it's just like, if somebody looked at everything and like this 1 + 1 = 2, it's always this way, they'd be like, you stole it, you're a stealer, whatever, when it like could just be your mind. And I think that plays in a lot with all this stuff, is like, there's a lot of different things that we don't understand. Like there's this other phenomenon, again, I wish I knew the words, but it was something along the lines of like, a group of people, a group of scientists like taught a bunch of apes or a bunch of chimpanzees how to do this very specific thing. And then other chimpanzees around the world in other parts of the world started picking up that same understanding, that same knowledge. I wish I could tell you exactly what it is, but people could look this up. And it's just like, there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of waves that are happening. There's a lot of communication mentally that's happening around here that it's just like, I don't know that we can always just be like, let's connect these two dots. It must be that. It must be evil. It must be that all the way through. Now, as it relates to the identifying as the dolphin.
Yeah. How do we play the dolphin, the dinosaur, the triangle, the circle? I don't know what's going. Listen, it's like if you like froze my body 100 years ago and brought me back, I think you're messing with me. I think like, listen, what do you mean you identify? What do you mean? Where does it come from? Where do you think it comes from kind of your perspective, what's going on?
I think that it comes from in the same way that war was fought in hand-to-hand combat 1,000 years ago, not even 1,000 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever. It's like, think about how war has evolved. Think about how when, like, I remember back, what was it, the Revolutionary War? they lined up the redcoats in a straight line and just walked forward. And you just shoot into the line. And if it doesn't hit this guy, it hits this guy. And then eventually they realize, like, wait, we could spread out. I could be in a bush. I could be in a tree. I could come around the back. It doesn't have to be like this. It's like it evolves. So I think that what's happening is that the human condition is evolving at such a clip that in order to get attention 30 years ago, you wore bell bottoms and a pink shirt and a big necklace and big hair, right? And you walked down the street in the town square and you attracted attention by being different. Well, now that information traveled, and now everybody has pink hair. Everybody's got bell bottoms. Everybody's got an earring, a tattoo. They're wearing men's clothes and women's clothes. It's like the game evolves, where it's like the mental condition evolves, and it just latches on to new things, and that's how it solves its need. Its need for attention, its need for validation, its need for tribalism. It's like, well, if I'm just a guy and I don't know what's going on, if I identify as an LGBTQ, if I identify as an X, well, now I have some comrades. Now I have a group. Now I have a tribe. Now I have a cause. Now I have a purpose. Now I have a, look at me. Look, don't you see how brave I am? Well, now, then you see other people succeeding in that world. You got the young person that was interviewed by Michelle Obama, and it's like, well, look at that. How brave. Well, maybe that's me. Maybe I can be that. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. Maybe that's the validation that I need. Or I'm not a man, I'm a woman. That would solve this. It's like, again, it's all this external validation. And when you have this landscape of, instead of there being a small plate of choices, there's a farm of different choices, of different things that you can be. It's just like you just find the one that most naturally fits to your thing, and then you go there. And then you know that when you say, I'm a dolphin, or I'm a non-binary, whatever, fluid, whatever, it makes you unique. It's like wearing bell bottoms and big hair. It's like having a pink shirt. It's just today's iteration, today's thing, where you're different, you're unique, you have individuality, but you also can follow that tribalism. And I think that it's the same thing as you had in the 70s, and I think that it imitates itself throughout time. But it's like it used to be, you listen to Elvis, it was rock and roll, and then that was not that edgy anymore. Then it's this, then it's this. It's like it's just today's iteration, and it's going to continue to get crazier to a point where if you could have imagined this 20 years ago, it's like here's the best example that I can give. It's like when my mom and dad were young, my mom used to listen to the Beatles, and her parents would be like, "What is this? You can't even hear the words they're saying. This isn't music." And then after the Beatles, it's rock and roll. And they're like, the people that listen to the Beatles are like, you can't even understand this. What is this? This isn't music. And then people in the 70s, they hear like rap music from the 90s, like, what is this? I can't even understand this. This isn't music. And then people that listen to rap in the 90s listen to music now, and it's like, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang. And it's like, what is this? This isn't music. And then 20 years from now, it's like, think about dance music. Dance music is like,
more noise, and 20 years from now, and kids are going to be like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, but I was listening to some dubstep in the car with my friend the other day, and I'm like, if you played this for someone 20 years ago, they'd be like, this is insane. Yet I enjoy dubstep. It's womps, it's whistle blows, it's a horn, a siren. So it's like, this is just the present evolution of someone searching for their new thing to be a part of that looks different than we saw it, because we're ingrained. We've framed the world up like such. This is the world. It goes from here to here. We're over here, and then anything beyond that is like, oh, what is this? These kids, the demonized next generation.
What confuses me with that is, by the way, I totally agree with you on the people's standpoint of it. Then I started seeing, like, whoever that, it's a man, but it's a woman. I think it's a transvestite. I'm not sure. Transgender.
Watch out.
I don't know. Transgender is if you have a sex change. Transvestite is if you dress according to the opposite sex. I think. I don't know.
I don't even know.
Whatever that person is that the Biden administration appointed, I forgot his or her name, but I heard that person saying, I can't even believe these words are coming out of my mouth, and I'm quoting, paraphrasing. We have to give all children anti-puberty pills until
Mhm.
they decide what gender they are. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
The,
what do you mean?
the, it's like the anti-natural flow of nature mentality to me is mind-blowing. It's like how you could think that something that was created from nature needs to do something like that. I can't even wrap my head around that.
The reason why I brought that up is because I see the attention aspect 100% from the person standpoint and how we keep going further and further and further, right? But why are there like organizations in the government advocating to have your child postpone its puberty so that child can decide at what point you make that decision? I have no idea. But right, at some point you decide, okay, I want to be a man. I want to be a woman. Well, what if I want to be a dolphin? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But they're supporting something that's, I see it as divide and conquer. You know, we're not strong when we're apart. And so
Mhm.
long as we keep injecting all these different viewpoints and all these different things, it's like, it's crazy. And when that person said that of let's postpone their puberty, the first thing I thought, I'm like, okay, what does that even mean? Are they going to have high voices and no hair on their body until they're 20 and decide to make it? What does that mean? Are we just going to
Yeah.
have 18-year-olds with 5-year-old voices running around saying, I want to be a man? I don't know what that means. And
Mhm.
what scares the hell out of me for real. And it's like, it comes from like funny on the surface, but it's really scary at the core of what's going on, of where the hell is this going to lead? You know, we keep going down this hole, and there are the minority. It's not the majority yet, but there's the minority that's open to that's seeing, you guys stop it. And then the majority is taught to call those people crazy and conspiracy theories, which, by the way, was coined when JFK was killed, another sort of psychological thing that they created on us. And really, my question is, where the hell are we going to go? How is this going to unfold? And where does it end? And when I interviewed David Icke like 2 months ago, and I asked him
Nice.
something along the lines of that question, like, where does this head? You know, like, where do we go? What's going on with this? And he brought up a point that at the time took me back. And just in the past 2 months, I'm like, this guy's right. He's right.
He's
And
right about a lot of stuff.
I won't cover it too broadly just because of the platform and all that. But that interview's on my website on jasonshurka.com. But long story short, the guy's like, listen, they want to get to a point where there are no two different genders. They want to change the human to make it one human, to control procreation, to control everything, you know. Now, is that a guy in a cave going like this that breathes fire? Probably not. Are there certain people that don't have the best intentions? Probably. We see that time and time again, right? And
Yep.
it's not black and
100%.
white. You know, we don't actually know exactly what that looks like. I, for one, don't think that the names that we think we know that run the world, if we know their names, they're not the people, right? I think the people that actually are doing certain things and calling the shots and pulling any strings, we've never heard of them before in our lives, and we're not going to until shit really starts hitting the fan.
Mhm.
So I asked him, when does this end? There's got to be a wall that we hit. There's got to be a wall that says, listen, it's either this way or this way. What's it going to be? And he brought up a really, really, really like valid point. And he said, listen, they're trying to make the human artificial. You see it in the injections. They're injecting artificial things to make the human more and more and more and more artificial. Next thing we know, we got people wanting to put chips in our brains to tell us, and that's real. That's called Neuralink, right? That's coming by, and I don't know my opinions on that man and all that. I can't speak on, I'm not sure about him yet. All I know is that you put a chip in your brain, you're going to have problems. Okay. You can't start cutting a square that's a 1/4 inch out of your skull to put a chip to prevent seizures before they happen. That's not the way to prevent things. You prevent things other ways. But that's the story that they're giving us, right? And listen, if that comes up, we're talking about censorship right now on platforms. Censorship is really the stopping of information before it gets to us to control perception. If we got chip in our brain that's the equivalent of like Siri, but on crack, that thinks for us when we ask a question. Everything, that stream of consciousness that's no longer natural, is a stream of consciousness that's control. There's no need to censor anybody anymore because you literally control the way they see things. And he said, in his opinion, the end all be all is when we reach that point, what direction are we going to take? Is the human going to become connected to the Internet of Things, which it's going to be called like the smart human, like there's a smart fridge and a smart TV and a smartphone, only our brains. Is the human going to be connected to that? Or are we going to say, no, goodbye, I'm out? And that excited me because we're not far away from that moment. So if something's going to happen, it's happening soon. I think it's happening in the next 10 years where we're going to see some massive changes of, on the way, a lot of division, but also a lot of waking up while that division is happening, to a point where it kind of brings us back to unity. It's almost like a slingshot. The further you bring it back, it's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But when you let it go, that thing shoots and doesn't stop. And that's where I see our kind of like awakening process happening. And listen, the more negative experiences that we go through, I mean, it's just a fact. We wake up more. You know, people are willing to think differently when things happen that they're not comfortable with. So I want to bring that up because it's like, in a way, in many ways, it's connected to the whole gender thing and mixing it up. And they're putting boys on women's soccer teams. Like, you can't put men on women's soccer teams and women on men. Then it's not a men's sport, or what? It's none of those. You can't. It's like, it's okay to acknowledge. This is just for everybody now that's listening. It's okay that there are two different species. You know, it's okay that there's a woman and a man. It doesn't mean one's better than the other. We're just different. You know, we're built. We have different hormones go in. And the second that kind of operate us, and the second we start messing with everything that we're messing with today, on one hand, on the way, there's a lot of jokes we can make on it. You make hilarious ones with your paper straws and your vaccines and everything that you say, and it's very funny. And the deeper you go into it, what I like about your work and what you're doing is that you give an opportunity for a person to wake up that in like a more comfortable way. You know, it's not like, oh my God, this guy's a conspiracy theory. It's like, this guy is hilarious. Okay. And by the way, he brings up good points, because it's not a matter, just my opinion, it's not a matter of like, it's pretty much, how do you get to the point where you'll get the person to listen to you? That's all you got to get to. Because if they hear what you said, if they actually hear it, you can't, I mean, there are certain facts that you can't refute unless you choose not to hear what's being said. And your delivery is not just to the person that's considered a conspiracy theorist. It's to everybody, because it's funny, whether you got it or not, whether you're with it or not, it's funny. And it kind of, it's almost like you open this portal for everybody to enter, and then people could just be like, it makes them question things. You know, it's like planting that seed of, oh, well, in that video where he had the funniest filter I've ever seen in my entire life, talking about which V they got and how they did it, and you're like, and by the way, they took away our rights. It's not that bad. It's like, it's
I love it.
It's true. It's true, and it's like, you know, it's sometimes I look around and I'm like, are we living in a joke? Like, is that real? You know, they're giving away donuts. Like, are you good? Is that what you do? The guy that is worried about his health, that probably isn't thinking about why they're wearing that mask in the first place, pulls the mask down to smoke a cigarette and eat a donut to get something they don't even know how it works. It's like, where is the thought? Where's the logic? Where's it's been thrown out the window.
Yes. I think it's the grand scheme is that if you have the ability to control the way that people think, the way that information moves, the way that people move, in theory, the pharmaceutical systems, the way that people process information, you can make them reliant, not self-reliant, not family, not focusing on themselves, not exercising, not thinking about all of the things that are magical. You have them subservient. If they're subservient, then the world is yours. You can do anything you want. if you can keep the power in your family and keep your family close knit with other groups of powerful families, you essentially are the kings. You're the kings of the world. You're like the god. You're like the modern day gods of the world. And I think that that's what it is. It's just like anything that goes towards independence, everybody living free, all of that stuff. That's all not good if someone wants to rule over the world.
Yeah.
And in the same way with my war example before, it's like the kings and queens used to live on the castle at the top of the hill, and everyone knew who they were and how to get there. Now they're not going to be so stupid. They're not going to walk right down the pipe wearing a red jacket and say, shoot at us. They're going to hide in plain sight. They're going to be integrated into the system. Meanwhile, they're doing the exact same running of the operation. And how do they do that? They have no borders. They can live everywhere. They can have property in every country. They have money in every currency. They can manipulate currencies. They can invest in legal things like the stock markets of different countries, and they can manipulate certain things to go up and down in value through government. You can pay off those government people either through bribes or through blackmail by just being a super sick person, and you can manipulate and run the entire world. And if you have more money than anybody's ever seen ever, you just keep it in your close-knit group. You cross-pollinate with the people in your group, and then you slowly, strategically pluck away those rights so that the world is yours. And then you manipulate certain things, whether it's removing population, whether it's removing the ability to freely move, to freely communicate, whatever is the case. It's like, it's very clear to me that that is happening, and that the easiest and simplest way to have control over the entire planet is like one world government. And that's what David Icke has always talked about. And the thing is that what they maybe realize is like, you don't even need one world government. You know what you need? You need one world currency, or one world health organization, or one world whatever.
Yep.
Unanimous fear. And then you don't even need it. And I think that that's the thing, is like, we're like, they've always been like right, but it's like 10 degrees to the left or right of what everybody always thought. And it's just like, when you really think about it right now, it's like, there are countries with closed borders. Like, you can't leave that country. So it's just like, you're already trapped. You're imprisoned in your mind. Now they want to create universal basic income. Then you rely on the government for money. You think about cars like Tesla, for example. And like, I'm not anti-Tesla, but like, think about a Tesla. Tesla's controlled by a computer. Imagine if the government was like, turn the car off.
Yeah,
you have no car.
Digital currency is a big one that they can do that with. It's
sure. I can't even, I take off your ability to spend your own money.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, it just makes perfect sense. And when you look at it when you take a step back, you're like, whoa, and it is really bad. But the thing is that when I first started paying attention to this stuff in 2008, you eventually get to a point where you're like, I'm just one dude. And like, what am I going to do, right? And it's just like, it'd be easier for me to try to be happy, live my life, stay healthy, and not die from this, and bury my head in the sand. And I think a lot of people get there. And I got there, and I'm like, this is too much. Like, I'm depressed from this. Like, it's like they're coming to get us.
Yeah.
And then eventually you realize that it's like, I can't do nothing, right? It's like, if I'm going to bring children into the world one day, I can't just do nothing, because that wouldn't be very good. Like, there's a lot of people that sacrifice a lot for us. So how do I do something without looking at it? Like, it's like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? It's like, if we look at the elephant and say, we're screwed, which in a lot of ways we are, then we might as well just jump off a bridge right now. The reality, I think, which I think is the solution, is that we have to understand that we have to try to take small bites at the very obvious, short-term, attainable goals that surround us every day. We got to be like, hey, these diapers are no good. Hey, what is in this juice that they're putting into us? Hey, what's up with these passports? Hey, what's up with this person that's supposedly running my city, my sheriff's office, my town? If we all just looked at it like in the very small, like, it's like you recycling bottles in your own house. It's like, I'm just one guy. Yeah, but if we all just think I'm just one guy, then we're screwed. So it's like, we have to all be like, what are short-term attainable goals? And it's like, push freedom, liberty, fiscal responsibility, fortify your financial position, fortify your mental position, think about the right things, eat the right things, surround yourself with the right people, educate yourself on how to live a better life. Like, under, have more awareness of government and how government works. Understand the money in your pocket, where it comes from and where it goes. Understand that if money is sitting in the bank, you're losing it to inflation. Figure out that you need to invest it. Invest it into companies that do things that you align with. If you don't like what they do, divest from that company, invest in another company. Like, we can make a radical global shift by just making these small incremental changes. It's like if I'm unhappy with my entire life, the easiest way for me to start changing it is just like, go for a walk every day for 20 minutes, and then go for a walk for 30 minutes, and then go for a walk for an hour, and then do a push-up. It's like, you don't just go like, I'm going to the gym every day, I'm going to do bench press and pull up. It's like, just walk for 20 minutes. And I think that as small and insignificant as that seems, people don't understand the mega impact if everybody just spent 15 minutes just thinking about stuff. And it blows my mind that more people don't do this. And it's like, I was talking to a friend over the weekend, and I'm like, and it's just like, all these things are bad in their life, and it's like, these things are wrong. And I'm like, well, what are you doing to feel better? What are you thinking about? What are you watching on TV? What have you done lately to educate yourself on how to get to the next level? Like, what are these small things? And it's like, well, none of those things. It's like, that's why it sucks. It's just like, if you just did one thing, like walk, that is the simplest thing. Just take a walk every day. Just walk. The world will change. And it's just like people that are, and it's like you have people that are 400 pounds. And it's like, if that person just literally walked for 20 minutes a day, they'd live a better life. If they just literally didn't drink soda. And it's just like, it's not about, I'm changing my diet. It's like, just get rid of soda. And then you get rid of soda, you lose 5 pounds, and you're like, well, shit, I just lost 5 pounds. What else can I get rid of? Bread. Get rid of bread. All right, no bread, no soda. And it's like, now you're down.
Yeah.
It's like these things validate themselves. And it's like, when you see a very small incremental success, when you see yourself move an inch, you're like, well, maybe I can move another inch. If you try to look at it like I need to move 10 miles, you end up moving nowhere. And I think that that's the lesson that I'm trying to impart in this Trojan horse of jokes.
100%. Yeah, no, you bring up a very powerful, I call it a technique. It's something that I've spoken about in the past, where you want to do something. If you, no matter how big your aspirations are, your dreams are, if you try to attain everything from right here, right now, you'll burn yourself out. You'll overwhelm yourself. Yeah. Just like an overweight person, you want to lose 100 pounds. If you say, I want to lose 100 pounds, I mean, you could freak out at some point and be like, oh my God, it's 100 pounds. But if you just say, I want to lose 5 pounds, you lose that 5 pounds. Okay, I want to lose another 5 pounds. And that's exactly what you're saying. And it's something that I completely support, because that's the way to make a change. You know, if you weigh 100 pounds or 200 pounds and you're trying to pull something that's 1 million or move something that's 1 million, you can't pull that block in one shot. You're not going to be able to do it. But if you break off a piece of that 1 million pound stone and keep moving it, you will move that stone. Now, exactly what you said, when we unite, and my motto really is divided we fall, united we fly. Because if we were just to all see that 1 million pound stone and everybody just pulled a little bit, suddenly nobody has to do this immense amount of work that may or may not work. Because if we all come together, it's over. It's done. Like, people are like, what do we have to do to change the world? Well, first and foremost, the simple answer is we have to start saying no and being informed. The harder question is, or the harder thing is, okay, well, how do we get to that point? That's the difficulty, because everybody would say no if they really saw what was going on regarding certain things. The reason why people are choosing not to say no is because they truly believe that certain things are good for them and certain people are crazy. So this really lies in the information that we're being fed and the way that we allow ourselves to process that information. Because, like you said, if we keep giving our power back, letting mommy and daddy think for us, telling the experts, let them do what they do best and I'll just follow. Well, I'm not saying don't follow, but at least know what you're following. You know what I mean? Understand the picture of what's going on. Because most people, if you ask them a question, what's inside that juice? What's in there? What's going on here? They'll look at you with their head crooked because they have no clue. You tell somebody, did you know that there's mercury? Did you know that there's aluminum? They'll say no. Meanwhile, it's not a secret. It's on the CDC website. So all of these things they're there. Yep. There is information that's being completely censored in and of itself. But there is a lot of information and a lot of dots that are there. The only thing that isn't being done for us is certain people aren't connecting those dots for us to tell us what they mean. And if they do connect the dots, they connect the dots in a way that tells us what they want us to think that it means. So that's where the whole critical thought comes in, like you said, of let's start thinking, right?
Yep.
It's okay if there are certain authorities where you're listening to, but at least do research into what they're telling you. You know, just like your mom or your dad, they tell you to do something, you love them, they're great, no problem, but know what you're doing and then make that informed decision, because there is no freedom of choice if you're not making the choice, right? Right now we have that illusion of choice. We think we're choosing. The only thing we're choosing to do is let others think for us.
Mm-hmm.
As if we started taking our, which by the way is very powerful, because I know a lot of people are under the thing of we're being controlled, we're being imposed upon. Okay, that's great. You could take that angle, but no, you're also playing a role and not saying no. And by the way, I mean, again, it's very simple. All we have to do is say no. Once again, that difficult part is how do we get to the point of informing the public? And that's where, I mean, I see that there are many people doing that. What I love is that they're all around the world. And there's always that crazy person somewhere, because that's what make the change. If they were all located in one place, then what the hell did we do with this? You know, we got to the way that we're scattered. We got to be in every state, every continent, every country, everywhere. And at the same time, I do think that with all that research and information that certain people have done, including myself and yourself, Bobby, there holds a place, and there must be a place for some people aren't willing to accept it. You know, you can show them facts, you can show them whatever you show them, and they'll be like, listen, I'm going to do it anyways. And that's fine. Because that's also the freedom of choice, right? We can only do our best, and let's do shows like this. We connect, we come together, we talk, but we talk with we make jokes about certain things, no problem, but it's not about judging everybody. It's not about judging anybody. It's just, we'll mess with people on the way, have a good time. But all in all, it's all for the intention of let's talk, let's speak truth, let's talk about our research, talk about our information. And, you know, that's really all we can do. You know, you just embody what the change that you want to see in the world. You embody the change that you want to be in the world. And so long as you do that, I always say those little ripples of energy that we are being, turn into waves. Those waves turn into tsunami. That tsunami is a whole new Noah's Ark, only instead of wiping out the population, it wakes up the population. And that's the beauty of what we're seeing right now. So that's like, you know, we're connecting, you're connecting with incredible people around the world. Everybody's suddenly getting connected. And in a way, we put down this technology and these platforms. At the same time, these platforms are allowing us to do what we're doing. So there's always a way of, we hold compassion, and I'll speak on behalf of myself. I hold compassion for anybody that's not willing to see it, even if it frustrates me. Like yesterday at Disney, I asked the guy, I'm like, what? I asked him, I don't think he knew I was messing with him. I really wanted to see his answer. And I'm like, it was one of the people that work there. I'm like, so what happens if what happens if I got the V? And do I still have to wear a mask? He's like, yeah, you do. I'm like, so when does that end? Like, when don't we have to wear it if you got the V? Because I was running him through the thought without him understanding what I was necessarily doing. I was just asking him like a good Samaritan on the street wearing a mask, just to see the psychology of certain individuals, because he was really with it on the side. And when I said, I'm like, okay, so if we got it, then why do we have to wear it? And he's like, well, everybody has to get it. I'm like, oh, you know, I didn't know it worked that way. I thought when you got it, you're protected, you're good. You know, you're not supposed to transmit something after you got it. So that's the definition of what we're talking about here. And he's like, you know, I said, listen, I really hope that we'll get to a point where we'll be able to all walk around without it. He's like, yeah, I really hope everybody gets it. I hope everybody, you know, I really hope we can get to a point maybe in a year or 2 or 3 from now, or 3 years from now. And I'm like, okay, well, happy Tuesday to you.
Yeah.
All right. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Just to see, I wanted to see, do people really buy this? And I'm telling you, dude.
No, they didn't.
The woman came up to me like screaming. It was here. It was here, dude.
Yeah.
It wasn't here. It wasn't here. It was here. Okay, right on the tip of my nose.
Oh
Switch
yeah.
called managers. This I'm like, you know, and it threw me off again because it's like it's so sad. It's so sad, but people are really afraid. You know, they're really afraid. They're not messing with you. They're really afraid.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, they are. And the thing is that people forget that people are imperfect,
Yeah.
and that systems are corruptible.
Yeah.
And it's like anyone that believes all the way through A to Z that something is trusted has no awareness of history. There were doctors 70 years ago that said you should smoke Marlboro Lights to clear your throat. That's what they said.
Yeah.
It's like there have been doctors that have been corruptible. There have been scientists, weather scientists that have been corrupted when it relates to global warming stuff. I mean, the proof is there about this stuff, more than evident. So anyone that believes that A to Z, that something is not imperfect, human, corruptible, or has the ability to be persuaded or influenced, is a person that can be easily manipulated with any and all things. And it goes back to the very beginning, which is the core root of all of these problems, and it is the solution. It is like self-responsibility, personal responsibility. You have to independently validate information. You have to pay attention to politics. You have to pay attention to more than one doctor, to more than one perspective. You have to educate yourself. You can't dismiss your responsibility for anything anymore. Your health, your nutrition, that's you. Your physical and your ability to exercise, that's you. Your ability to educate yourself, that's you. Your ability to fortify your financial position, that's you. Your ability to take care of your kids and teach them what to learn, that's you. Train your kids, that's you. Protect yourself, that's you. Every single thing is you. And everyone's like, well, we got the cops, we're good. Well, we got the fire department, we're good. The other day I bought a fire extinguisher. I'm sitting here in my house, I'm like, I don't have a fire extinguisher. This is stupid. I'm 34 years old. I live my whole life. What if some shit happens? What am I going to do? I'm going to sit here with my thumb up my ass and call the fire department and be like, oh, no, you bought a fire extinguisher. I'm 34 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that it's not like, buy this. Everyone should have this. It's $35. Have it in your house, or $20. That's the thing. Like, that's the ludicrous nature of all of this. The education system of your average person is where all of this stuff begins. And it's because I don't want to teach my kids. Have the school teach my kids. I don't want to go to a charter school. Send them to a public school. Include it in my taxes. Round them up. What are they learning? Who cares? Did you do your homework? Yeah, I did it. All right, who gives a shit? It's like all of this lack of responsibility of someone else needs to solve my problems so that I can do all of these other things better, faster, stronger, whatever, is the reason why we're in this mess, is because we're all dismissing our own responsibility to some other thing. Oh, the news says it's bad to eat eggs. No eggs. Oh, the news says it's good to eat eggs. Better eat eggs. It's like, what are you doing? Just research it. Don't watch this stuff. And that's why everything is the way it is, because nobody is just like, everybody wants to just be like, yeah, just tell me what happened today. Just tell me what to eat. I want to, and like, it always blows my mind when people will be like, I'm out of shape, I got to hire a personal trainer. It's like, bro, like, no. I understand that, but no. Like, it's unsustainable.
Do it.
Yeah, like, go do something. And like, go on YouTube. It's like, that's just you being like, I hope that, and then here's the thing about a personal trainer. The personal trainer can't make you work hard. They can't, and one of the most frustrating things that I've heard from my personal trainer friends is that, like, people show up, they pay the money, and they don't push themselves. They can't make you be intense. They can't make you want it. They can't make you not eat whatever at whatever time. Like, you have to want it. And it's the same thing with that as it is with any and all things. And it's like, if you're not educating yourself about something, I'd say, like, every day, like, you're going down. My high school football coach used to say, and I'll never forget it, it changed my life. He's like, every day you get better at something or you get worse at it, you never stay the same. He's like, if you didn't hit the weight room today, you're worse at it. If you didn't read today, you're worse at it. If you didn't think about how to get more money and live a better life, you're worse at it. If you didn't fortify your social positions and the relationships around you, you're worse at it. It's like, you never stay the same. It's up or it's down. And it's like, I think about that all the time, and I'm like, did I exercise today? Did I think positive today? Did I figure out how I'm going to get ahead? Did I listen to a podcast today? And like, I want to listen to music more than I want to do anything. But like, if I'm in the car for 3 hours and I can listen to music, yes, there's value there because I can think. But if I listen to a podcast for an hour and then music for 2 hours, I think and I learn. And it's like, now I accomplish. I'm moving forward. And it's never been as easy as it is today. Like, listen to a Audible book. It's like, it's right there. But we're all just like, entertain me like Family Guy. It's just like, no, that's why we're in this mess.
You know, somebody asked a question. They said, what do you think the real fear is? And I want to answer, I think we could both answer that. But something that, you know, the more I see the fear coming out of people, the more I see it breaking down to probably many things, but there's one common theme that I've been seeing, and it's the fear of death. Because why? Okay, let's ask ourselves why we're doing anything. If it's the mask, if it's the V, if it's the eating a certain way, if it's the anything that we're doing is all because you don't want to die. Why would you stand 6 feet away with somebody if you are from somebody if you are? Because you don't want to get sick and die. Why would you get injected with something you don't know what it is? Because you don't want to take a chance to get sick and die. Why would you eat or not eat something? Because you don't want to take a chance to die. And it's like this thing coming over and over and over again. And the one thing that they don't teach us here, the one thing specifically in Western society, in Western culture, is the idea that death is this illusion. Yeah, it's a real thing that has a concept, but it's really just the transformation of life. And the moment that starts becoming a key factor, once again, of our culture, our society, our just belief systems and understandings and experience, is the moment that they'll never be able to do what they're doing again with this control, because we wouldn't be able to give in, because that fear wouldn't exist. Because if you don't fear the idea of death, nothing on me. It's like yesterday, I watched a show, and my friend I was watching the show had said kept threatening to kill his son in the movie. So you know what he did, which was crazy? He killed his own son. And he said, now come at me. You got nothing. You can't do anything because I have nothing else to lose. And it reminded me of how they're using the fear of death on us. That's an illusion. It's not even something that's real in and of itself. That the Vatican and many other places and organizations and people have blocked from our awareness. They've burned spiritual books. They've burned in the past spiritual information. They censor it time and time and time again. And now it's coming into the mainstream a little bit more. But the fear of death is something that's really real. You know, it's something that's really real. And it's a very big thing that people have on us when we believe it, because we act through that fear of not wanting to die. But imagine what our world would look like if we really not just knew through like knowledge, but we really felt and experienced the fact that we are infinite beings, that we do reincarnate, that we may be living not just past lives, but parallel lives, because the soul could live in multiple forms simultaneously, because guess what's also an illusion? Time. And Einstein was the one that brought that forward, the relativity of time. Something that's relative is not a fundamental reality. So it's like all of these, when we connect the dots, allow us to become liberated through what starts as knowledge and what ends with experience and therefore wisdom, comes through this point of understanding that we're infinite, we're powerful, we're not itty bitty little me that only lives once and is afraid of his own shadow or her own shadow. And they don't want us to know that, because if we knew that, this world would look so different. It would be so different if we understood the power that we had behind us and within us.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Huge.
No, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing. Like, those are the types of realizations that come when you do small incremental changes, like just walking.
Yep.
It's like you're like, wow, I felt better today. Oh, I feel better. I think different. I think different. I act different. I act different. I meet different people. I meet different people. I learn different things. It's like you follow this path. And no, you're absolutely right. And again, it's like the message, it's like it always comes back to like the root. It's like the very beginning, the you inside. It's like that is where all battles are won and lost. It's like inside your own mind.
Yeah.
And if more people paid attention to that, and that message was more prominent, as opposed to this reliance message. Like, I've never watched the news and seen them be like, you know, it'd be a great day for you to try yoga. And it's like, but it's like, but every day it's just like, oh, like you're gonna die, like grab a donut. I don't know. The solutions are there, and you're absolutely right for sure.
You know, my little cousin, and we'll bring this to a close. My little cousin 2 days ago showed me, he's like, type in on Google Florida man, and we're in Florida, that's why he brought it up. He's like, type in Google Florida man and any date you want. And he's like, what's your birthday? I'm like, June 26th. He's like, Florida man, June 26th. He did Florida man, August, whatever, September. And I encourage you all to go on Google, type in Florida man with anybody's birthday that you know. And the only thing you're going to see is how a Florida man was either arrested, killed somebody, or did something. And my first question was, what about Florida man helps cat out of the tree? What about Florida man helps child that was doing X, Y, and Z out of his day? Like, what about that? Why is our society focused on only the darkness? You go on the news, it's into, we live in the worst place in the world, because they don't come and tell us, with the exception of like Good Morning America for like a solid like 60 seconds, you know, telling us how beautiful son did something nice for his grandma. But other than that, it's this person died, this person got shot in the head, this person tried like raping somebody. It's like, what are we doing? And the more attention we put towards that, the more we're going to recycle that energy, because that's where our attention is. That's where our focus is. It's nuts.
What people see, here's the thing. Use that example. Some people that think that it's controlled top down, no matter what, it's always bad, it's always evil, will say, Google's putting that there to make you think X and whatever. And the real truth, this is the real truth of it. The internet, television, magazines, news, books, and a variety of other things are all, and even if you want to just even take those out and just go just Google. Google reacts to human behavior and adjusts based on human behavior. The human condition is one that fear is often stronger than love inherently, just in the sense that you default to it. Just like it's easier to eat a pizza than it is to do pull-ups. It's like we default to the harder. We default to the fear. We're more influenced by them initially. It takes effort to think in terms of love. It takes effort to think in terms of positive. It takes, you have to work at it. And if you don't, then all of the negatives happen just inherently. That's how it is. It's like this, the yin and the yang. So it's just like all of these things are reacting. All of these things are reacting to our natural behavior to look towards the bad, to be attention seeking towards the fear, towards the evil, towards that. We're naturally there. In order to change that, it has to be a conscious effort forward. When you type in Florida man, to not click on that. If your behavior changed as to what you clicked on, the Google search results would adjust to serve you the most reasonable result to what they think you would click on. Google wants to give you the best result. So your natural human behavior pushes it to there. And that's how all things are. It's like we naturally go pizza, cheese, couch, fear, someone help me, government paycheck. The only way to the other side is to work at financial independence, protection, positive thoughts, uplifting, education, love, not clicking on the thing that's bad. It takes effort. Much like, again, it's like the food. It's like it takes effort to look in terms of love. It's not as natural, and it's not as drawing as the fear is, and that explains all this stuff. And again, to not continue circling back, it's like it's back to the human condition. It's like, how do you think? What do you think about? How do you move forward? What are you doing to protect yourself? Because it's going to change what you click on, what you talk about, what you think, where you go, who you speak to, what you talk about, what you listen to, how you listen to it, how long you listen to it. It changes all of them. They're all those small, like 1 degree differences changes like your whole trajectory of your life. And it's like, the other thing too that I think is so profound is like, and I'm sure you've thought about this many times. It's like, have you ever thought about how you decided to go to one party or one place, one time, or get one coffee at one thing on one spot, and you met one person that changed your life forever, or you picked up one phone call, or you made one text message and took one thing, went to one concert that changed the trajectory of your life, and had you not done that one thing, you would have been on the polar opposite of some other thing. Maybe not necessarily bad or good, but just the single entry point difference between one decision versus the next, and how it changes like the course of your entire life. About each individual thought, if we thought about each individual thought with that same degree of severity, we would change the way that we think about everything.
What you said, especially about the Google thing, hit home, because that's how literal creation of our own reality works. And if we go to Google, it's like, okay, you could just say there are these evil things. No, there's an algorithm, actually. You're 100% right. There's an algorithm of how things work and how things are chosen. It's not some guy behind the curtains making sure you see one thing over another. Maybe in some cases it is. But the algorithm is based on our behavior. It pretty much knows that we're our programming and then gives us something accordingly. And what I love about what you said is that's really how our reality is created on the collective consciousness and on the collective experience as well, where it's just energetically, and that's how Google's algorithm is built also. It's genius. It's just the things work. Energetically, what you know is going to come back because you're in resonance with it. They're not going to show you things you're not in resonance with, just like the universe will not give you something to experience that you're not in resonance with. It's the same exact thing. And why I find that so important and so incredible is because, again, that's how consciousness works. That's how awareness works. And it's absolutely incredible. What we're in resonance with, long as we're to the drink, to the smoke, to the fear, to the news, to that, we're going to experience just that coming to an energetic level. On the other hand, if we take our effort and start making a conscious change, then we start changing not the algorithm of the universe, but we start learning how to play with the algorithm of the universe and the energy and how it works in order to reprogram the collective experience that we experience. Why don't we service right now? But let's we can done and yeah. Anything you want to share about it?
Yeah, it looks like our connection's getting zapped a little bit. I guess, are we still there? There we are. I think that if we could all just remember the profound impact of an individual thought and how a single thought influences our day, influences our week, influences our month, our quarter, our year, we would think differently about each individual thought that passes through our mind. And that laser focused attention to detail on individual thoughts, I think has the ability to change our lives in a really profound way. And like even the slightest dismissal of the responsibility of managing those thoughts moment to moment means that you could trip up. And even if you trip up for a short period of time, an hour, couple hours, a day or two, that impact accumulates over time. It doesn't mean don't have fun. It doesn't mean don't have a glass of wine. It doesn't mean don't unwind. Whatever you got to do what you got to do to live your life and enjoy it. But what it does mean is that when you're waking up in the morning and you're starting the day and you're sharp, and as you navigate through it, if you could just understand the severity of each internal voice that you hear about whatever you're doing that day, it influences you in profound ways that you don't even know. And one of the best things I ever heard, my dad said, be careful what you say because you are listening. And it's like, we often are like, I can't X and I do that, and or like my life sucks, or I hate this, or I hate my job, or whatever else. You're hearing that. You're hearing the self-defeat. If we could all just be more cognizant of the words that we say and our internal voice, and figure out how to dominate that internal voice, figure out how to focus on mental toughness, and figuring out how to navigate through adversity in our mind, doubt, how to overcome doubt. We win. The world is a better place. All of your outward will change as a result. And look, I'm not perfect. I'm learning this as I go. I'm doing the best that I can. No one out here, like, it's like people look at like gurus, thought leaders, whatever, and they're like, they got it all figured out. No, we don't. We're just sharing where we're at. I may be a step ahead of you here and a step behind you here, but I'm just talking about the one that I might be a step ahead and doing the best that I can to show you that. So, and you could probably show me a lot over here. So it's just like, this is my message. This is where I'm at. This is where you're at. We're just trying to say that, like, if I made these mistakes and I can help you make one less, we move forward. Everybody propels forward. And our thoughts and our willingness to share and lift each other up is profound, and that's how we all get ahead. And if you want, and I would encourage anybody, if you want proof to the human condition's natural tendency to help others just inherently, go on Facebook and just post what you want. And you would be surprised how many people will reach out to tell you. One of the easiest ones, anybody need a roommate? People will chime in you haven't talked to in years. They'll be like, oh, and they'll ask their friends, like, does he need a roommate? Or, hey, does anybody have somebody that needs X? Mm-hmm. Just put it out. In a simple place like Facebook, you'd be surprised by the reactions, people's willingness to help and help lift each other up. And it's like, you would do it too, in the same way that if you saw somebody drop their hat on the street, you'd just pick it up. And that equates across all things. And I think that we need to understand that, like, our closeness to each other, our self-awareness and our focus on ourselves will solve all of these problems. And they first start here, they next start in small clusters. And those small clusters of minute adjustments in behavior ripples throughout society, ripples throughout the world becomes a better place. We reverse course on all of this stuff, all this fear, all this evil, all this human suffering that's plaguing the world right now. But instead, if we look at it at this big thing, they got us, the money, the globalists, it's like, we're fucked. It's like, what are you doing in your neighborhood? What are you doing in your circle? And if we do that, I think we win. We win in the end. I think love wins. We wouldn't be here doing this, finding these good vibrations if love didn't win. So it's like, I believe in it. Let's do this. Like, we got it. We just want to keep thinking that way.
Absolutely. I love it. Bobby, you're awesome. My sister just walked in. Everybody, this is my sister Ashley.
Hi, Bobby.
She loves you. She loves everything you're doing. And
I watched your paper straw thing like yesterday for like 20 minutes. It was hilarious.
Yes. I love it.
So anyways, thank you so much for everything you're doing, man. Thank you for adding just humor and laughter to everything, and keep up the good work. I'm excited to connect, and let's do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for your time, and thanks to all your followers, and I appreciate it, man. Definitely let me know where you posted, and we'll do it again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.